Hi, I'm Pearl, and I'm just finishing off this little series about grief and complicated grief. And I want to share a mantra that I use with you. And this is really like for when I've been stuck in denial in complicated grief. It's a tough one. And I talked before about, sometimes we block things out using like alcohol or drugs or workaholism, perfectionism, fitness even, all those kind of things. But, really a lot of times we block stuff out and we go into denial in complicated grief because we can't accept the truth. So we block things out with lies. And I actually talked at length about this on another video, which is a talk I did for Osmic. It's on my YouTube channel. So if this resonates with you, go and check that one out. And that was really beautiful because it was a group of people and we were all talking about, letting go and moving on. But there's a threefold mantra that I used when I was trying to... It's really weird because it was like I had just got to a place where I really had opened up to the grief I had been feeling about my father, who died when I was a kid. And, when you're a kid, you say a lot of stuff, especially when you have a complicated relationship. And my dad was not an easy or a safe person to be around. So, I said a lot of stuff, and I think the biggest thing I said was, I don't care. I'm fine. I don't care. I don't care. I'm fine. And so when he died, it was a lot of stuff of the I don't care variety. It doesn't matter to me. I never knew him. I didn't care about him. He didn't care about me. All those things are really painful lies, that we think make us feel better, but in truth, we just keep hurting ourselves with them. I kept hurting myself with those kind of lies. And I think that's what I love about the spiritual journey I've been on, learning about unconditional love, compassion, forgiveness, all of those things. It all helps in the end. Courage, truth. It helps to be able to handle the truth, And when I got to that place where I was able to handle the truth, and I felt it really powerfully, the most important thing for me was not to fall back into denial, to fall back into I don't care, to stay with the feelings, which is something that we say sometimes in healing process of when we've been using stuff to block out the feelings, we need to stay with them in order to allow ourselves to heal, to grieve, whatever that healing process is. So I use a threefold mantra. I used that threefold mantra back then, which is, I love my dad. I miss my dad. My dad died. And of course you can use that mantra in any way. For example, perhaps you've lost a job, and you're finding it really, really hard to deal with conflicting emotions. And so you can use those, I love my job. I miss my job. I've lost my job. It doesn't matter. You can use that to stay with the feelings. And if you watched the previous video, remember what I said. Recognize the moment that you're not grieving, but you're wallowing. And that's when you go and do something else. Just like, as I said, eating a meal. When you've had enough, walk away. Okay? Same thing with grieving. We don't want to go into wallowing. We don't want to go into self-pity. But sometimes, self-pity is an important stage on the way to developing self-compassion. Okay? So sometimes we need to go through a place or a stage in order to get to where we're going. So I think if we listen and we understand all the different things that we feel, all different feelings, emotions, and spiritual principles like forgiveness, it's really rather wonderful, because then we know what we need and we can take what we need. We know when we need to practice forgiveness and when we need to practice tough love, when we need to practice boundaries, some kind of self-care, or some kind of self-defense. Yeah. And I think, my experience of life has been that we do need to take care of ourselves and look after ourselves. And even those lies that we tell ourselves, at times they're really useful. Sometimes we do lie to ourselves until we're ready for the truth. Because the truth can be a lot, It's taken me a really long time, I think, to be able to be as truthful as I am. And I still catch myself telling myself fibs as well. I'm okay, or I want this, or I don't want that. All kinds of things. But we keep doing our best. And I actually wrote a poem about my dad and how I was feeling, and maybe I'll share that too. We'll see. But when I got to the signpost here today, I thought, this is the place to do this, because that poem, really what I say in it is that when we handle all this stuff, whether it's grief or survivor guilt or imposter syndrome or PTSD, we free ourselves, And that freedom means that we can then go in any direction we want. We're not hiding anymore. We're not trying to be what we're not. We're just being ourselves, being authentic. And that's the easiest place to be in the end when we figure it out. We don't have to put on or pretend to be what we're not. We don't have to act anymore. We don't have to try to be grateful. It just comes up naturally. I come down here and I'm challenged, and it's difficult and takes energy to do things. But I come down here and I just chill, and all of a sudden it comes out of me, this great big feeling to the world, to the universe, to life, which is, thank you for my life. And that's something that I also say to my dad at times, And when I was really struggling with the grief that had come up, and it's, again, that video with Osmic was really good, because we were talking about, what happens when you don't have like a traditional healing process, or you don't have the funeral and this and this. And so we were talking about letting go and how we do that and everything. But I remember when I was really struggling, kind of on my own, dealing with the grief of grieving for my dad. And I was looking at some pictures on my laptop, and I also saw a picture of my granddad. And I realized, the thing is, my granddad, I had a much bigger relationship with him, a much longer, more profound, safer. He was really he was more of a dad to me than my dad. And when we lost him, that was so hard, it was so hard. But I looked at the photo of my granddad and I thought, yes, but I made it through that. I grieved for him, and I'm okay. I miss him every day, sometimes. But sometimes that complicated grief is not about, the size of a relationship. Do you know what I mean? It's not that somebody was so important to us, but it can be because the relationship was so confusing, so complicated. So I'm really glad that I've been able to sort that out for myself, and I really hope this helps you if you're going through anything similar. And one of the biggest things I've learned is not to judge myself for loving somebody who's a bit messed up. Because even in a lot of spirituality, we say things that sound like, we're judging ourselves for who, how, what we love. We say things like, we don't have any self-respect if you love somebody who behaves like this. You're like, well, yeah, we do, because we have unconditional love. We have unconditional love. And the most important thing is not to judge ourselves, when we grieve for somebody or something that other people can't understand, If we've had a relationship that's very complicated and it's over, yeah, you might be better off out of it. Yeah, you might be better off when they're gone. But doesn't mean to say we don't grieve, you know. There's nothing wrong with you if you're grieving and you find it difficult, okay? You're wonderful. And you're allowed to grieve, even for some of the most difficult things in our lives, the most difficult people in our lives. It's just something that happens, you know? And something that is quite profound and beautiful, that we have this incredible capacity for love. And we love even the things and the people that have hurt us in the past. I hope that makes sense. I hope it helps. Please do send me your questions and problems. I'll do my best to answer them and help. Because I've learned a lot on the way to get here. And I really would hope to use it to help a lot of people, especially anybody who's had some similar challenges. My words are getting messed up now. I better go. I think it's time for a nice hot pancake and maybe a cup of fake coffee, okay? Be a real pearl drinking a fake coffee. Take care. See you soon. Bye.